Hey everyone, thanks for tuning into this episode of BiblioTech On Air, BiblioTech's official podcast. I'm Rosanna.
I'm Ruby.
And today we have a new member to welcome to the podcast team. From West, we have Miranda with us.
Hello.
Yay.
Thanks for joining us, Miranda. I hope you have a time with us on the podcast. But with that said, let's go ahead and talk about what we're going to be discussing today. We are going to be covering Wuthering Heights, the book compared to the movie, because we took care of both of those, in case anyone was curious about the differences. So if you are interested in checking out Wuthering Heights, we do have that available with the BiblioTech library card. It's going to be available on Cloud Library, both ebook and audiobook, as well as Hoopla, ebook and audiobook as well. And bonus, we have the soundtrack available on Hoopla as well. So with that said, let's get into it.
So first, talking about the book, what were y'all's overall thoughts of the book, and did y'all read it before, or was this your first time?
My overall thoughts, this was my first time reading it ever. It was very hard for me to start it off.
Yeah.
I read the first page so many times because it was just the language, like very old timey. But once I got into a flow, it was really good. I really enjoyed it, like the dramatics of it, and it was very vivid. Like you can see everything, which I really enjoyed.
Dude, it was very hard for me to read at first too.
Yeah.
Like anytime Joseph talks, I didn't even try to read that. I was like, I'm just gonna skip on to the next sentence. I'm not gonna try to read that. But yeah, this is I remember reading it in high school vaguely. Don't remember a lick of it from when I did read it. So this is my first time rereading it again and actually comprehending it. But yeah.
So same thing, I had read it in high school, and I read it in high school because at the time Twilight was coming out, you know, the books and stuff, and that was something that Bella would always like reference, like, oh, my, you know, copy of Wuthering Heights that's like dog-eared and I've reread so many times. So, you know, obviously with that hype, it's like, oh, okay, I want to read this book. I checked it out from the library. It was so hard to get into. I'm pretty sure I did not even finish it.
Yeah.
Like, it was so hard to read. I was like, this is what the hell they're talking about.
Yeah.
And, you know, and there's so many things where I think like in high school now I like them, and I'm like, I've appreciated them now that I'm older.
Yeah.
Wuthering Heights is still like tough to get through, and I just can't help, like, is it a good like narrative and story overall? Yes. Are the characters insufferable? Absolutely. Oh my god. And then of course going back to like how you described it, the Yorkshire gibberish.
Yes.
Bro.
Yorkshire gibberish.
Yeah.
It's the Catcher of the Rye of the romance category. Because is it even a true romance story?
See, we're going to be talking all about
Exactly.
that. We're going to be talking all about that.
So getting into it, Wuthering Heights is famously dark and complex. What did you make of the way love is presented between Kathy and Heathcliff? Do you see it as romantic, destructive, or something else entirely?
Ooh, it's toxic as hell.
Yeah.
I get it. They're teens, you know, when all of this is happening. So, you know, at the time they could be seen as like adults or even mature. But like, you know, we're reading it from a modern perspective. They are, you know, just these teens with probably like the weight of the world in terms of, you know, who's going to have the property. I got to make sure my family stays alive. I'm, you know, got to stay alive for my dad, whatever, my brother. But I mean, at the heart of it all, they're still kids. They're still teens. And, you know, this first love, first crush, you know, that's going to be their whole world. That's everything to them. So, of course, it's going to be upplayed for that.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, when you're a teen, like your emotions are extremely heightened. You feel like you have to have the person that you want. If not, your world is crushed.
They didn't have emo music back then.
Exactly. But yeah, what do you think, Miranda?
Yeah, I would say definitely destructive. And the way you put it is really great because, like, we live until very old now. So we can have our crushes and move on. But that is it. They, like, die at, like, 18.
Yeah.
So their one crush is their life. Like, that's who
Yeah.
they're supposed to marry and, like, die with. So I feel like it was so intense for them. And that's all they think they would know about love.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Their
and
world is so small too.
Yes.
It's like like growing up in this day age. I'm like, my soulmate could be in, I don't know, Europe. That's a possibility. But here, like, obviously they're not traveling at all. They're just stuck. These houses are 4 miles within each other. So that's all they're ever going to know.
You got to work with what you got.
You got to work with what you got.
Essentially.
You got to infatuate with who is near you.
And like in this case, when you're forced to, well, kind of forced to marry someone that you're not into, that just makes it seem even more tragic, you know?
Yeah. No, 100%.
And so that also like brings us to the scenery as well, because that plays a big part in their emotions.
It's practically a character itself.
Exactly. Emily Bronte's right?
Brontë.
Emily Bronte's use of the Yorkshire moors is vivid. How do setting and landscape echo the characters' emotional lives?
A lot.
It was there.
Yeah.
It truly was there. There was no ignoring the moors. It was very dark, very, very vivid. And I think like when you're in that setting, you have to be gothic. You have to be emo. You have to feel all the feelings because there's nothing else to do.
Yeah, I agree. The way they made it so you felt like you were walking the path with them, or when it was cold, like you could tell, like, dang, are they going to make it from one end to the other? Because they're making it sound so, like, harsh to get through, even if it's such a small distance to us. They're walking it. They're riding on, like, a horse. They're, like, covered in these things with, like, no heat to go home to.
Yeah.
So I'm like, dang, like, that's insane. But even in their free time, that's where they wanted to be, was just at least outside of their gate.
Yeah.
They would long to be out there, even though it was just grass and sadness.
And practically almost a risk because, you know, if your clothes get wet, boom, that might give you pneumonia. You might die.
You're dying, yeah.
Like, so it was in a literal adventure for them anytime they would venture out into the moors as opposed to, you know, staying in Wuthering Heights or
I know it's crazy because I feel like we romanticize this kind of setting a lot. Like we're like, oh, the gloomy rainy weather, the dark gothic setting, but it's like, can you imagine actually living in that?
No.
Like neither one of us have to deal with that.
like in a modern day setting with indoor plumbing and heating. That would be great.
That would be great. But being constantly cold inside, like that really, like that makes people suicidal, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, like living in climates where it's just constantly raining, not sunny at all, that truly messes with you, messes with your mind, with your emotions.
And we even see that, like, comparing it to a modern day setting. Like, we even see that in countries in Europe, like, you know, in Great Britain, where it's pretty much cloudy, rainy all the time,
like the
you know,
suicidal
overcast.
rates are higher.
And they have, you know, fairly high rate of alcoholism, I believe, over there because, you know, it's like, this is our environment. This is what we live in.
It's very dark. It's very depressing.
It's cold.
Yeah, and if that's now when there's access to do so many other things and get away from that environment, I can't imagine there where all you can do is that's your playtime. You go inside and have to sit by like a small fire with the rest of your family. I'm like, no, thank you.
Maybe share a blanket if you're lucky.
Yeah,
maybe share
a blanket.
I took this question out, but talking about the ghosts in the book, what did y'all think about Emily Bronte's use of ghosts and their characters in the book?
I feel like it worked really well, especially with Heathcliff being the one that predominantly experienced them, besides Mr. Lockwood at the beginning, who is what brought the ghost back into Heathcliff and like him dwelling on it. I think it worked really well because Heathcliff was literally known as like a tortured man that like wanted to torture the people around him while he was being tortured by things no one else was seeing. So you never really understood why he was so insane. But then at the end you learned that like he had been seeing Catherine his whole life. Like since she died, she had just been following him and no one could see that that was bothering him. So he took it out on everyone else. So I felt like it was really cool.
I think it's crazy how he asked for that. He was like, please come back and haunt me so you can be with me. But in the end, like, that's actually driving him insane. Like, I guess he realizes that that's not actually what I want.
No, yeah.
It is interesting because it makes you really think, like, is he actually experiencing a haunting, or is he going through like a moment of psychosis?
Yes.
Did he bring this upon himself? Like kind of how he told Kathy, like, you know, you broke your own heart and now it's like, I made myself crazy.
Yeah.
But you do kind of get like a bit of a fact check towards the end where they're like, I saw two figures walking off in the distance. So it makes you think, oh, okay, maybe he actually was being haunted by Kathy, you know, and it's not just his own schizophrenia or just like, you know, very like deranged mental state that he's in.
I mean, Lockwood too. Lockwood saw her, so
why
would he see her? He doesn't even know her at this point,
which is very true, like in the intro also.
So I'm gonna throw this little question out there too that I didn't have in here, but there was two narrators, Lockwood and Nellie. How was that? Was that confusing going back and forth, or are you able to truly trust the narrators of the story?
Yeah. For me, at first, it was a little confusing when Nellie would step out of the story, and I forgot that she was talking to Lockwood that whole time. So I'd be like, wait.
Yeah.
And then she would jump back into it, and like they would take their breaks and stuff. So that threw me for a loop at first. But it was very interesting to basically the whole story you're getting is only from her.
Yeah.
And he just has to believe it. But you kind of want to believe her because she was there for generations of families. Like, what does she need to do? Why would she need to lie?
Yeah.
Why like would she need to lie about that when there's so many like little bits that he's noticing too, as she's like, oh yeah, she did seem kind of off when I went in, and Heathcliff did
like corroborating
seem,
a
like,
bit.
yeah, so like getting all those things and her being able to be like, in this house, this is what happened, you can see that this picture was there, and then like, so that was really interesting. But it did throw me when she would stop talking about it, and I was like, where are we?
Yeah, like for like towards the middle, I was like, wait, where's Lockwood? Like I forgot that he's ill in bed being read to.
It would be confusing sometimes, like definitely. I always like try to go into books, like even though like the narrator seems like they're telling the truth, I always do think of them as being unreliable.
Yeah.
Just because we never know the extent of it. Like we really don't. But like you said, it seems, especially because she kind of admits her own like shortcomings later on in the book. So I would see her as being like fairly reliable, but of course not always 100%.
Yeah.
True that. So now we're going to get into the movie questions, the part that you've been yearning for. So Fennell has said this film is a version of the novel and not a direct adaptation. How did that make you feel? Liberating or frustrating, and why?
Okay, let me preface this by saying we know Emerald Fennell from, she directed the second season of Killing Eve, she directed Saltburn, she directed Promising Young Women. So keep those in mind when you do listen to our analysis, so you can kind of, form your own thoughts. But with that said, I would definitely call it frustrating, very frustrating when you compare it to the book, because it was the loosest adaptation, like not even adaptation, very loosely inspired by Wuthering Heights. Like having read reread the book, and she just, I feel like she just really wanted an excuse to work with Jacob Elordi again, make him stick his tongue out every other scene, and just really like Saltburn her way through this inspiration of the movie. There's an audience it's for. There's people who are gonna like it, But I like what you said, Miranda, if you don't mind repeating it, like the experience you had in the theater.
Yeah, I will say, as someone that obviously was reading the book and then went to see the movie, and I personally did not look into whether it was inspired, whether it was going to be a very true adaptation. I just went into it seeing what would happen. So I was more frustrated. Like the whole movie, I was just like, that's not how that happened, or where are all the kids? Like, that's where I was at. But then at the end, when I heard the girls behind me that like loved it and were crying over the movie and how it ended, I was like, it's such an interesting thought to know that if they've never read the book and this is going to be their only interpretation of Wuthering Heights, they're not going to know about the generations that weren't talked about, or that the father actually loved Heathcliff. Like all those little things weren't in it. So I was like, that's interesting. If that's just, they're going to go and tell the story, and that's the story they're going to tell people, and then those people will be like, this is what Wuthering Heights about. I never read it, but now I know. But that's not like everything there was.
Like Wuthering Heights for Gen Z, basically.
Yeah. I think if you didn't read the book first, if you just go watch the movie, you'll like it. It's really good.
Yes.
The cinematography is really good. The storyline,
the acting is top tier.
The drama is there.
Very
the
good movie
is there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I was like back and forth with it. I liked the movie. It only focused on the first half of the book. So I felt like you were able to really dive into the characters, Kathy and Heathcliff. They got rid of all the other characters, which I was like, okay, like we're gonna dive into more of the history between the two characters, which I thought it was pretty good. I didn't cry at the end of the movie.
Yeah, me either.
Like everyone else, but that's just because I was like, I feel like the message of the movie was that it's not a romantic story. Like it's obsession, it's lust, I felt like even in the book, I'm like, did they even really love each other? Like, because they mentioned in the book as well, like they refer to a lot of people as pets.
Yeah.
So I'm like, that's
possession.
It's possession. So I felt like that reflected pretty well in the movie. So I wasn't that frustrated with the movie. I was like, I kind of liked it.
Yeah. I agree. I think this, like, it was a very good movie, but I think if I had known going in it was more of like inspiration, I would have been like, oh, okay, like they're taking their liberties of like combining certain characters from the book and like taking their stories. But it was very good. And I think also it tied in well just the movie itself, when like the little boy was like, oh, like I would get hit by your father like time and time again just for you.
That was sweet.
It was very like started very young with self-destruction on each other's behalf.
Yes.
And that carried all the way literally into her death,
Yes.
when he was like, you could tell he was going to go crazy after
Yeah.
that.
Like,
So I think that was very clean from the beginning to the
Yeah.
end. It was self-destruction.
like that was a good build up for it, for sure.
Yeah.
Their little youth story was so cute.
Yes.
But going back to like the whole adaptation thing, like they do point out, like, you know, there's been talk of why Wuthering Heights is like in quotation marks because it is a loose adaptation. And I very clearly understand, like with any book to movie adaptation, you are going to get like, you know, some things cut out or certain, you know, liberties taken.
Yeah.
And that's fine, you know. Again, it's a very natural thing of like being able to put, you know, one format into another.
Well, there's like 10 Wuthering Heights movies.
The best adaptation of Wuthering Heights is the song by Kate Bush.
Oh, okay. I thought you were gonna say the Tony Levin. But yeah, I think there's so many adaptations. There's like 10 movies, 5 TV shows. If she was just gonna do the exact same thing as those, it's just gonna get lost in the sauce.
Yeah.
So I feel like I don't know, Emerald Fennell, I like Saltburn, I'm a fan of her work. I feel like she like brought discussion to Wuthering Heights.
Yeah.
Everyone's talking about it. They hate it. They love it. I don't know.
So I'm going to do a counterpoint.
Like bad art is still art.
It is. It's very true. But see, you know what else has quite a few adaptations? Pride and Prejudice. And each one of those versions is pretty much talked about to this day. There's always do you like the Colin Firth Mr. Darcy? Do you like the other guy, Mr. Darcy? You know, it's always stuff like that, you know, if it's a well done adaptation, it doesn't matter how many versions of it there is. It's always going to be talked about, I think.
Yeah. And to your point as well, though, I do see what you're saying. If she had done it just like the others, are very clean cut to the book, it wouldn't have stood out as her work, because her work is very like,
it's got a signature to it.
yeah, like
point.
Saltburn, like, okay, like she's very in that. So honestly, when they were looking at each other, I was like, I guess like that seems on par. Like if she didn't add those weird things that are make you kind of like,
No one licked each other's bathwater, or did something with their graves. Which I thought was gonna happen because
Spoilers.
It did talk
in the
about
book.
it did talk about that in the
happen
book.
in the book where he
Yes.
does dig up her grave to see her dead body after 18 years.
See, okay, so we'll probably get into it in a bit, but I do wish the ending would have like alluded to that. But
Alluded more to his psyche breaking. Like, yeah.
Okay, before we go off, the film focuses on only the first half of the novel and dramatically changes the ending. How did these choices affect your view of Kathy and Heathcliff's relationship?
I don't know. It kind of changed my view, because in the book, they did not dwell on the relationship. It was very clean cut. He left, came back. She was excited. She lost her mind. Next thing you know, she's dead and he loses it. Like, it was very like that. Like, you didn't really see their interactions. And when it was like, oh, they kissed, but Nellie didn't tell because she's at least happy and we're not going to cross her or whatever. But in the movie, it expanded on their affair much more. And then you find out that like Edgar knew, and that, you know, like those little things that didn't really happen in the book. Like, he knew and he was upset about him being around, but they just wanted her to be happy. But it never touched on them having such a strung out affair where they were sneaking off and doing things. Because in the book, she was literally bedbound. Like, she never left that room until her death. So I think that was definitely interesting and gave a completely new perspective on how much they wanted to be together. But was it love or was it lust, or did she just not want to be with Edgar that bad? So I don't know.
I like that little analysis on that, because in the book we see, like you said, Kathy's bedbound. Heathcliff is just being Heathcliff
Out her window, like, hey.
and you know, we don't really see how much it affects each other until after their deaths. Like, she's literally not leaving this mortal plane to haunt him, and we see Heathcliff just treating everyone like crap and just trying to make everyone suffer because of his own friggin' pain compared to, you know.
Like, in the book, I feel like the true revenge we get is after she dies.
Oh, 100%.
With the kids, how he's maneuvering them around, trying to get Wuthering Heights, trying to get the Grange.
Yeah.
Like the control of all of that. So I feel like in the movie, it wasn't really clear.
We have no idea. We still, I think in the book and in the movie, we still have no idea how he came back loaded.
No.
Haircut, clean.
With the earring.
With a gold tooth.
Yeah.
Gold tooth.
Which, I mean, good for him, But, yeah, like in the book, in the movie, they just really were like, well, he's back. He's clean. He looks good.
He took a shower.
And now, he's just going to be a douche to everyone because, of something that happened a few years ago. Like, they didn't expand on that. And I do wish we would have seen more of, like, his inner turmoil, because it kind of got from, like, it gave me, I don't know how familiar you are with The Count of Monte Cristo, but, like, the movie, where the main character, he comes back and he's a changed man. He spent so many years locked up in prison for something for an injustice. And, he's here to be, like, mean to, like, the love of his life and stuff, too. Like, he's being cruel to her. But, like, one moment that they have together and that immediately, like nothing changed. They get right into it. So that kind of made me think of that, but just without, like, all that build-up,
Yeah. So some viewers have praised the film's raw sensuality, while others felt it overshadowed deeper narrative elements. What did you think about the balance between style and substance?
I have a lot to say, so I'll let y'all go first.
I felt like there was a lot of smutty scenes. It didn't need all of them. Probably could have used like half of them, or maybe one or two, and been fine with it. But I mean, like I said, I think it was just trying to allude to the fact that it was just like it wasn't a romantic relationship. It was just very obsessive, and I felt like at parts that I didn't even get. I felt like Heathcliff was a lot more obsessive and in love with Kathy than she was of him. Like, he was constantly like, I love you, I love you, I love you. Yeah. And like, she would say I love you too, but not as much as he did. And when he was like, I'll kill Edgar for you or whatever, she was just kind of like, whoa, like, actually, no, that's not what I want. Like, back up there. You're getting a little too crazy, Yeah. So, I don't know. That's where I got from that.
Yeah, I feel like if they had cut those scenes down, because it was a long movie, and I feel like if they had cut some of those scenes down, they could have added more detail to give, like, maybe just them having, like, a conversation to discuss, or, like, not even truly discuss, but at least give us more of an insight into, like, what they see in each other, or maybe even lasted longer as children, and, like, seeing their more of the relationship as children instead of time jumping so quickly.
Maybe even as teens too.
Yeah, like as teens, and then into that, like, what were they doing, or were they seeing people, and how did that, like, something like that to, like, see how they react to that instead of just jumping straight into the marriage. I don't know. It was just interesting because I feel like the movie was so long already that they could have used some of those times to give us more, or include other characters from the book, or like something like that to like give more of a perspective, or more Nellie's perspective, something like that.
I feel like maybe she was just trying to like adapt to the way that like obviously modern times right now everyone's pretty obsessed with smut at the moment. We have a lot of great TV shows like Heated Rivalry and things like that are very smutty, have a bunch of sex scenes that people are just loving to the death. So I feel like maybe that's what she was trying to like get. Like right now, this day and age, this is what people are liking. This is what they're gonna vibe with. That's true. So looking back 10 years from now, we're gonna be like, man, we were a little crazy back in that time.
Okay. So y'all already know how I feel about this. So for our audience, I can understand when there's like, you know, like when there's meaningful, like, you know, smutty, spicy scenes in a book, in a movie, whatever. It was just overdone with this one. Like it felt like because they got to be with each other, that took away from like the feelings they had. Because in the book we see, again, I can't stress this enough, the main thing about the book, aside from like the toxicity and just like the obsession, the yearning, it's there, like we feel it. We see how like that consumes them. And here, because like after they were able to like kind of get back together after such a short amount of time, like of them meeting again as adults, I feel like it just really took away from that. Like it felt almost purely physical at that point.
You're right. I do get that. Now I'm changing my perspective on that. At first I was like, he's yearning. Like he obviously really loves her, was really infatuated with her. But now that you're talking about it, I'm remembering in the book they don't even kiss until she's
exactly.
in her deathbed.
She's about to friggin' die.
So that's where
Yeah.
the yearning is coming from, like the fact that you're not, because like right in the movie they're just going at it, like they're at any chance they get.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, is there even any time to yearn?
Like, you can
Yeah.
argue they had 5 years for it to like fester and stuff, but she's
Yeah.
had other obligations,
Yes.
and he's over here getting busy, and his main goal, you would
Yeah.
think, is revenge on, you know, the dad, the property, Kathy.
Yeah.
And we don't really see like the much of the effect of like those lingering feelings.
Yeah, because how you said it, like in the book, that's all it is. Because even then, like Edgar didn't want him in the house. Like Nellie had to keep him out. So he would watch from the window. Like he would find ways to sneak into the house.
Like creeper status.
Even for days, he would just be outside, unable to see her, unable to speak to her. She was unable to leave her room. So she was also thinking of him, but couldn't act on it. They got to act on it the whole movie, it felt like.
Yeah.
So that kind of took away from that. So when she died, it was like, okay, but you've spent like months with her. But in the book, he didn't even get to see her body. He didn't get to see how she died. Like,
Exactly.
It didn't even say like, I don't know. I feel like in the book it was more nuanced when it came to like physical affection. It was like, oh my gosh, they like embrace. Like how insane is that for them to kiss in the garden? But in the movie, it's like bang, bang, bang. Like, you know. So I feel like that kind of took away from the effect of him finding out and like having to dig up her grave to see her body because he didn't see her for so long until she was gone. So yeah, I kind of feel like it changed that narrative a bit.
And it felt like an open secret too, because at this point, like Edgar, he had a suspicion until Nellie straight up told him like, hey, this is going on. Nellie obviously knew.
Yeah.
Like it was an open secret.
You're right. So discussing about other characters like Nellie and Isabella, how they function in the film versus the book, does their portrayal shift the story's emotional or moral focus?
Nellie just felt like a plot. I mean, not Nellie, Isabella. Isabella just felt like a plot device, poor thing, in the movie.
Yeah, it was obviously very different than it was in the book.
Yes.
In the book, she was like Heathcliff was being very domestically abusive towards her. And in the movie, it seems like she was in on it, which was okay. Like that's an okay take. So that way we're not seeing more just domestic abuse on the movie. Like they're showing that she's in on it, she's okay with it.
Yeah.
But that's obviously very different from the book, because in the book she has a lot of internal turmoil, where she's discussing with Kathy and Nellie about like the decisions she's making and things like that, and that we completely don't get in the movie at all.
Yeah, the take on the movie of her and making her very like vapid and like she was naive in the book. Yes, she knew he didn't love her and she still went, but she quickly was like, I truly don't want to be here. Like I need to run away. Like I'm going to hide until the day I die, which she did. But in the movie, them making her so like
Submissive.
I'm gonna write this letter for you, and like I feel like that took away from his revenge because the point was he was so angry that he would hurt anyone.
Yeah.
And that's what he did. He hurt Isabella, and then it moved on to Harrington. Like, it moved on to all of the generations, and I feel like he wasn't truly hurting her if she was a part of it. Like, luring Nellie in and being like, oh, like, poor me. That wasn't true revenge because, like, in the book, she truly didn't want to be there. Like, he was truly being harmful to her. And then in this, she's just being used, and she's dumb, and she wants to be there.
Yeah,
and
like boy crazy.
Oh, I like ribbons, and I want to be with him, and I'm going to, like, write letters for him because he can't read or write. Like, what?
It took away from that.
Yeah.
It did.
Yeah.
And the fact that Nellie, too, being, like, she was being, like, a manipulator in the movie. Like,
Yes,
she has
big
no...
time.
In the book, she's just... I mean... I don't know.
She's
like,
a complex character.
Exactly. But in the movie, obviously, she's like burning letters. She's like making sure that Heathcliff hears Kathy say the bad things about her.
Yes.
So it's like she has a lot. Like she's purposefully.
If we saw revenge from anyone, it was Nellie.
Yes, 100% Nellie.
It was. So that was just a crazy difference of characters
Yes.
between them. What did y'all think about that?
Nellie was... She was definitely, I think, probably the most developed character in the movie because we see... And also just a shout out to the actress. I mean, you can see like that like disdain she had for Kathy, but at the same time, her being so conflicted about like she clearly had some kind of affection for Kathy while at the same time being like, she sucks.
Yeah.
And that's such a line to like be stuck on.
Yeah, I will say that actress from The Menu, that's like the first time I had seen her, she was a great actor, and that's when I saw her face pop up, I was like, oh, she's about to do her
You're
best.
like, we're about to get a banger here
But
from her.
like, I feel like although she was complex in the movie, she was so much more complex in the book of like, because she was telling it and she was very honest of like, she was a brat, like I hated being around her, but then she grew to care for the different people that she came to take care of. And I did not feel like she cared for Kathy. Like, she burned the letters. When she was crying about the loss on the stairs, she just threw a tissue at her.
That was kind of funny.
Like, yeah, I was like, oh, dang. Like, she really is not caring. And I don't know. It was very interesting to see that. And the scene that I feel like they followed most closely from the book to the movie was the scene where Heathcliff heard, and that's why he decided to run off. But in the book, like, she kind of gave a hint to Kathy, like, hey, I wonder if Heathcliff heard you say that. Maybe you should do something about that. In the book, she was like, in the movie, she was like,
kind of like,
listen to this. Like, I want you to run away and listen to what Kathy has to say to you. And then, like, for it to come out later and that caused tension between Kathy and Ellie. Yeah. In the book, it was so quick for her to be like, hey, like, I think someone heard you. Like, you should probably do something about that. And was worried about Heathcliff and sat there waiting with Kathy to hope that he would come home. Yeah. Like, she didn't mean necessarily for him to run away, but also wanted that obsession to, like, be cut.
Yeah. Like, you could argue she's more of a villain in the movie.
Yeah.
But,
very well done, though.
Oh, God, I had something else. Oh, it seemed like it was reciprocated. Like, because Kathy, there was moments where Kathy was very antagonistic towards Nellie.
Yes.
And, I mean, after a certain point, like, you know, I think you can only feel so much before you're like, you know what? This girl's probably going to get everything she wants.
Yeah.
I'm going to be a hater.
Yeah. I feel like that was pretty close to the book. She was bratty in the book. So, like, I feel like she could have even been brattier in the movie. Like, she could have really drug out, like, her annoying, like fits of like, oh, but I want this, or like, but I feel like we didn't get that too much. So like Nellie just started off like, oh,
that's a good point. Kathy was very much more like, oh, I got to do what's best for me and my family. I got to get out of this place. Like, she wasn't, and I guess maybe because of the like age up.
Oh yeah, that's true.
They could have definitely added a bit more to like Kathy's unsavory side.
Yeah.
So the film omits ghostly elements and the story's second generation. How did that change the tone or meaning of the ending for you compared to the novel's original conclusion? I feel like we don't get to see Heathcliff take back his words or like, what is it? What's the saying? Regret what you wish for type of thing.
Yes,
I feel like that was missed out on the movie. Obviously, when we just talked about the reason for the ghost being there, how he wanted her to be there, and then he's actually being tormented by her.
Yeah.
So that's upsetting that we didn't get that in the movie. It kind of just ends like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say the combination, so like the second generation, there was bits of those generations in the movie, but just combined with like the father acting as Hindley and Heathcliff getting treated as Harrington. Like they kind of combined it, which I felt like at times made it confusing because it's like, why did the dad bring Heathcliff home if he was just going to hate him?
Yeah.
Because he didn't in the book. So that's where I was like, oh, like that kind of seems off. So it's just like parts of that kind of made it like confusing and didn't see as much like character development, like say for Nellie. Like she was very involved, but she was very maternal towards certain kids. You didn't get to see that side of her being more on the maternal side, I feel like, because she just kind of went from being like Kathy's friend to just growing to like have disdain towards her. So that was kind of interesting.
Like how you said, the book ends pretty much right at the halfway point where Kathy dies and Heathcliff in the movie is just cradling her body and just, you know, kind of saying those things like, you know, never leave me, haunt me, whatever. But in the book, you know, I hate, there's just something about being like in the movie, in the book. I don't know. I don't know. It feels weird right now. But we don't get a chance to see like how all of his decisions and how everything that they went through led up to this moment. Like we don't get to see how that haunts them. You know, nowhere in the movie do we get any allegory, you know, or like anything that alludes to ghosts or hauntings or
the generational trauma.
Exactly.
It's like how did the kids end up kind of doing almost the exact same thing as the parents, even though they were raised separate from each other.
That generational trauma.
And how he had his fingers in every part of the family despite being kept for so long away from like say little Kathy and then Linton, but he still had a grasp on all of them because he was so set on hurting everyone that he was going to find a way to them no matter what.
Exactly.
But you never got to see that, which was kind of interesting.
Okay, so last question. How did your personal reaction differ between experiencing the story on the page versus on screen? Did one leave a stronger impression than the other?
I think the book left a stronger impression simply because you get more. And you get to see the revenge carry through generations, which was really interesting to see where each child fell into the story and like why one was cared for, why one wasn't, why one became a servant, and why one had tutors and never like got everything and didn't even know that there could be bad stuff in the world. And then for them all to literally end up in the same house after being like separated. I feel like that just like added so much more to the power that Heathcliff got for himself and took over everyone's life. Like literally at the end of the book, everyone's dead. Like literally Heathcliff is there and it's only the kids left of him, and then you even lose like the little Linton. Like you're literally left with such a small character like group. And I feel like that showed like he really was there to just outlive and take down everyone. And he did. I don't think you got that with the movie as much.
Yeah, but I liked them both. Even though there were some frustrations in the movie, I feel like this point in time is gonna last on me. The fact that I read the book, I watched the movie at the exact same time, remembered so much. I feel like if I just read the book again, like in high school, it would not have left this big of an impression on me as it did in this day and age, especially with everyone's talking about this book, arguing about it, loving some sides of it. I feel like it's going to stand still in this time. I'm going to look back and remember on this time now because of that.
All right, so we're going to end it there, but we already alluded to it a little bit. Be on the lookout for a few more episodes where we, read some of the classics and watch the movies to compare them to. So, we mentioned Frankenstein. Dracula. Maybe a Pride and Prejudice down the line.
Romeo and Juliet for the heck
Romeo
of it.
and Juliet.
That was the perfect adaptation.
The 1996 version, right? Or 1997.
The Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yes, that version. So be on the lookout for those coming soon to BiblioTech on air. So with that said, again, we want to thank Miranda for joining the podcast team officially, and we hope that if you enjoyed our discussion about Wuthering Heights, be sure to check out the movie and be sure to read the book, which you can check out as well on Cloud Library and Hoopla, along with the soundtrack, which is a completely different discussion that we did not get into. But with that said, thank you guys for tuning in. I'm Rosanna.
I'm Ruby.
I'm Miranda.
And we'll catch you on the next episode. Bye.